Hello, everyone. My name is Joe. I am the VP of Corporate Strategy and Development at Smartkarma. Our next talk on capital markets will feature iSTOX. Based in Singapore, iSTOX offers end-to-end issuance, custody, and trading of digitalized securities. They are like this holding subsidiary Heliconia, Petra, Tokai Tokyo, Hanwha, and others. Our guest speakers today are Darius Liu and Oi Yee Choo. Darius is the co-founder and COO. Previously, he was VP of Total Portfolio Strategy at GIC, where he focused on asset allocation and portfolio construction for the overall GIC portfolio. Darius was in charge of analysis and evaluation of capital allocation decisions to public equity, private equity, infrastructure, and factor-based investment strategies. Oi Yee is the Chief Commercial Officer. She has spent more than 2 decades in banking, including 6 years at UBS, where she most recently was MD and Head of Singapore Corporate Client Solutions. She also held senior roles at Morgan Stanley, Nomura Singapore, and Parkway Holdings. I just want to give them a warm welcome, and we're glad they can join us today. We'll also save some time for some Q&A at the end. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here at the Smartkarma conference. We're very happy to be able to be here to share with you our vision of private capital markets and the new opportunities that we all can avail ourselves to in the years ahead. I'll just dive right into the presentation and we're happy to take any questions after that. So today's presentation I've entitled New Opportunities in Private Capital Markets. Now it's a long title, but I've chosen the words carefully. So basically, it consists of 3 key phrases / words: new, opportunities, capital markets. Right? So let's go back to front. Private capital markets. Market for capital. Infrastructure and ecosystem of players that connect the flow of capital from investors to security issuers like corporates and such. Private capital markets basically just means the unlisted part of this overall market. Secondly, opportunities. Now, we're all here at this conference for various reasons, but I believe one reason unites us all. We all seek opportunities to grow our wealth, and getting access to good opportunities is critical to this. Which brings me to the third word, new. What else is out there? Most of us are active on bourses like SGX and other exchanges in equities, bonds, REITs. Maybe a smaller subset of us may be involved in funds, structured products maybe. The question before us is always this, and always will be, what else is out there that we can add to our portfolio to make it more robust? What is new that I cannot yet get access to? Now, we're all living in uncertain times, right? The fact that we are holding this conference over Zoom is testament to that. For investment portfolios, the idea of building a robust portfolio that will remain resilient through a wider variety of possible scenarios becomes more important than ever. And the way to construct a more robust portfolio is diversification. On my screen, we have the results of a UBS Global Family Office Asset Allocation Survey. And you may be surprised at the rather large allocation to private market alternatives. Right? In fact, family offices surveyed also plan on average to increase their allocation to alternatives in this coming year. And one key reason for that is that they see alternatives in private markets as accretive to their overall portfolios. Accretiveness is the key. And indeed, the growth of private market opportunity set is one macro trend that I'm sure many of us have observed. The low yield environment that we see today, coupled with the rise of the Asian investor and promising growth companies, has boosted not only the total private market AUM in Asia and across the world, but also the private market's share of the overall investable universe. Now, I spoke about the macro trends in private capital markets. Now, for investors too, we see trends. And these trends are what market participants ignore at their own peril. Right? I list my top 5 here, and I'm sure many of us can identify with these. Right? User-driven solutions, the idea that we want customization that meets our needs, not cookie cutter. Community engagement, The idea that I want to get involved in my investment. I want to express myself using my investment portfolio. The idea that tech and automation can increase productivity, lower costs, reduce frictions. The idea that I want a more direct access to a global opportunity set of opportunities. And last but not least, more equal access to real-time decision critical information that enables me to make my investment decisions in a much better and informed way. So these are what we see. Now, on one hand, we have more and more savvy investors like you, like me, wanting direct access to better opportunities in private markets, as well as the information that allows us to do so. On the other hand, we have promising growth companies and other security issuers that are seeking to tap these sources of capital. Now on the screen, I show the state of play in private capital markets today. We see a variety of entities that fill this gap between the investors and the issuers so that the flow of capital and the exchange of securities can be achieved. However, the status quo is, as you can see, rather fragmented, multi-layered, many different parties involved. Performance and fees can also be rather non-transparent sometimes. And in private capital markets, you would agree with me that there's a limited or non-existent secondary market, coupled with lengthy lockup times as long as maybe 8 to 10 years. Now, perhaps a few of us here are fortunate enough to be at a wealth level that allows us access directly to some of these interesting private market opportunities. For the rest of us, these opportunities are fortunately simply not accessible in today's market. Now, we at iSTOX came together as co-founders to solve a problem, because we see the need for a platform that fundamentally improves how the capital market infrastructure operates to better serve all participants, investors, issuers, ecosystem partners. And the iSTOX platform that we have built operates as a regulated marketplace that directly connects transacting parties to bring them, watch this, new opportunities in private capital markets. Now, iSTOX allows on one single platform the issuance, custody, and trading of securities in a fully digitized format, first anywhere in the world to allow this to happen. Investors now can access a variety of previously inaccessible private market opportunities in smaller bite sizes with a secondary market to allow trading to boot. Can take advantage of various ecosystem partners that provide necessary services and support directly on one single platform. And issuers can also have a one-stop shop where distribution to a longer tail of investors is now possible at a much lower cost than what is currently available. Now, I'm sure those among us who are market participants, it hasn't taken you long to recognize that working with a platform like iSTOX represents a highly scalable, cost-effective way to expand your reach, grow your wealth, and then generate new business for your ecosystem firms. Now, a very quick overview of what iSTOX represents and what iSTOX is. We are a new generation platform that represents not only strong commercial use case for new technology, but integrates innovation in operational and compliance workflows. Now, I'll quickly highlight 4 areas that makes iSTOX unique. And it is actually the confluence and combination of these 4 pillars that makes iSTOX the market-leading platform in digitized securities investment. Firstly, regulation. iSTOX has all the requisite licenses from the Monetary Authority of Singapore to allow all 3 activities I mentioned: issuance, custody, and trading of digitized securities in a fully integrated manner. I'm proud to say that we are the first platform in any major financial center to achieve this. We have a strong board of directors. The names are on the screen here. Highly regarded individual with many, many years of experience across the public and private sectors. As well as a listing committee comprised of industry veterans. Their names are on the screen as well. And this is one part of an overall regulation, risk, and compliance framework that iSTOX has established to maintain strong governance and robust oversight over all our processes. Speaking of processes, we have built up listing and exchange rules, internal SOPs, operational workflows that from the ground up to directly address industry pain points that I've listed on the screen. These allow us to formulate more streamlined operating models that maintain robustness in our workflows. At the core of the platform lies our technical infrastructure. Our in-house engineering team has built a fully cloud-native infrastructure that integrates issuance, custody, issuer servicing, and trading all on a single fully compliant platform. And again, I'm proud to say that iSTOX is the first platform in the world to not only build this platform from a technical perspective, but successfully operationalize it in a commercial environment. And because of our technology and our workflow, iSTOX is able to offer issuance and trading of digitized securities representing a wide spectrum of asset classes. I list some of them on the screen here. This would include funds with different underlyings, fixed income instruments, equities, and other sorts of products. Later on this presentation, we shall see a little bit more detail of the types of opportunities that one can access as an iSTOX user. We have a map here, Asia, and we show some of our shareholders here as well. And I'm proud to count many leading financial institutions, not only in Singapore, but around the region as our key shareholders and partners. Right? This validation that digitized securities and iSTOX is the market leader in this space will continue to allow us to bring new opportunities in capital markets to all investors in our platform. And this is really a very good juncture for me to invite Ms. Oi Yee Choo, our Chief Commercial Officer at iSTOX, to give you a little bit more color, right, on the opportunities that an iSTOX user can expect to see, as well as how you can get involved in the iSTOX vision as an issuer, investor, or an ecosystem partner. I'm very happy to invite Oi Yee to take the stage right now. Oi Yee, please.
Thank you, Darius. Good morning, everyone. As Darius had mentioned, we have built a platform to allow liquidity as well as trading, as well as access to a number of different products. I'll start with 2 case studies that we've done in the last few months. As you know, we have only just got our license in February. And so we're kicking up the use cases. The first one we're very proud of is a digitized bond called Genesis. We launched that in 2019 as part of the sandbox. What was very interesting was it tested the full range of our capabilities. So right from the beginning, from issuance to allocation to settlement, which I wanted to note, we settle instantaneously. So this is again, I think a first. We've traded the bond. We've paid coupons using our smart contracts without any issues. We've actually just redeemed the bond. So we've carried sort of the end-to-end life cycle of a bond, and we've shown that our platform can work through the full digitization from beginning to the end. The second case study is a fund called Eternal Glade, a relatively small startup fund manager who took the right thesis around green shoots in China. It's a time to start investing in the markets in Asia. And he had a number of followers that created the first fund that is now listed on our platform. And with that, we continue to build on the momentum across bonds and funds as we roll out the products for the rest of the year and next year. Next slide, please. So what does our investor base look like? At the moment, we have most of them are individual investors by number. Of course, we have corporate institutional investors, which are a smaller percentage, around 8%. But of course, these are slightly larger and provide larger investment sizes. Very interestingly, we have an interesting range of clients who have registered, or investors who have registered with us. Most of them are Singapore, of course, because there's a lot of familiarity with the name. But actually about 40% of our registrations come from outside of Singapore. And this ranges from China to Thailand, to Korea, to Japan, even Germany and Canada. And why? I mean, how do they access us? Because we are very easily accessible. We have web, and we're going to have an app access as well. We do eKYC. So we do everything online. So it's actually quite efficient for investors to just sort of log on, provide some information, and we do obviously the KYC and AML up to the MAS standards. We have also rolled out multi-factor authentication. So, we're sort of right at the heart of making the things very ease of use for individual as well as corporate investors. Next slide, please, Darius. Thank you. So what we've done is we've launched our bond product. As you can see, we have the legal structure, the ops process, the product specs, and already it's live commercial use. Same for a focused single call fund. This is also very much in use and will provide the base of our pipeline for the next few months. The next few items are going to be products that we roll out in the next 12 months. So digital equity. These are pre-IPO private companies who are just at the cusp of being listed and need some financing or need some liquidity. We're also looking at the big use case of MTN bonds and how we can onboard that onto our platform for our investors. We also are rolling out obviously a more advanced version of the single call fund, which is the multi-call fund. This is also coming in the next month, next year, as well as finally structured products. I think something that a lot of the external asset managers are looking forward to. We're working with product structurers to create that for us. And the reach to our investors, we have our website, which is relatively straightforward and easy to use. We're building out an app as well. That's for the individual investors. We're also creating a number of, so for example, we have the omnibus capability with financial institutions to work with banks and brokers and external asset managers. We're also in the midst of speccing out a master sub structure, again, to facilitate a broader ecosystem integration with other financial institutions. Next slide, please. So I want to come back to this slide. Darius spoke a bit about the ecosystem and how we are, how we want to work with our different partners to expand the use of our platform. I think our platform is very efficient. It is sort of state of the art in terms of issuance and custody, as well as post-issue management. We find a lot of use cases for fund managers. Because we report our ledger pretty much real time. That's been very useful. But we see ourselves as a platform. So we are very, very open to partnerships. So any of you who are thinking about partnering on the private capital market side, please reach out. We're open to working with distributors. We're open to working with private banks. We're open to working with any of these brokerage houses as well as external asset managers. It's not just about the individual investors. It's to how to make our platform as as rich an ecosystem as possible. I don't believe you'll find a similar private capital markets capability that is end-to-end. And certainly we're very, very happy to see how we can work with different providers, connect or integrate the tech if we need. We have a full team that's very focused on that right now. Next slide, please, Darius. So what are we expecting in 2020? We are looking at a variety of products. We want to see ourselves as availing a number of these different types of products with different risk profiles for our investors, because as all our investors will have different needs, different life cycles of their own personal allocation. So we have a hedge fund that's coming on board. We expect that to be an interesting offering. We have property funds, we have credit funds. We're looking at a couple of high yield bonds. We're even looking at a movie financing project, which involves Hollywood and all that. So it's all very exciting. I think our investors will see as we sort of build out that product range every month that there will always be something for everyone on an ongoing basis, and we think that will help investors who don't have access to private capital markets for a variety of reasons, or they find them very expensive, or they or we would like to work with private banks who don't have that capability. to work with us, and we can help originate some of these transactions. So I'll stop right there. I think we have some time for questions. So back to Smartkarma.
Thanks, guys. First question is, the most promising startups tend to have little difficulty raising funds from prominent venture capitalists. How does iSTOX plan to convince such attractive startups to list on its platform when they are being courted by many different capital providers?
I'll take that. I think, I think we provide a very unique solution because we're very transparent as to who is on our platform, who is an investor, because we run the ledger. So for the issuer, whether it's a startup or a fund or a bond issuer, the ability for us to post-trade manage and to post-trade live, have that transparency around who's investing, what kind of trading is there, that issuers, I think, will find very, very useful. I don't really think we compete with a lot of platforms. We, of course, compete with venture capital, but there's also a space for everyone at some point. When the startup grows larger, when it goes beyond, let's say, Series C, when it is, for example, pre-IPO, and it wants to test the boundaries of the investor base, for example, I think that's when we can use our platform quite well. Again, I mean, there are many, many unicorns out there. I'm not just talking about Southeast Asia. Obviously, across across Asia, we could be very open to talking to large unicorns who are pre-IPO, perhaps need a little bit of liquidity for its employees. We'd be very happy to work with them to show them what our capabilities are. Our platform is very unique. So again, I wouldn't say we compete. I would love to say that we would work together potentially with maybe a VC could be a part of the funding, and then we can tag on some of our investors as well, for example.
Thanks. Our next question is, KYC, anti-money laundering, and regulatory requirements have been major hurdles for fintech disruptors, given the costs and resources required. How do you get around this, and in particularly for overseas investors?
Maybe I'll take that question. So that's part of our integrated offering, right? Well, being a fully digital platform, obviously we have had to come up with innovations in that part of the workflow to be not Singapore investors, but investors from all over the world, and we have successfully done that. So we have successfully integrated eKYC up to the MAS standards. Fully implemented a complete AML policy with a fully fledged compliance team internally. So that part of the workflow is something that people don't see, but I think it's important to appreciate that it is, we have successfully streamlined and simplified what could otherwise be a very complicated experience into something that literally takes maybe 1 or 2 days, right, for an onboarding of investor onto our platform.
Thanks. Yeah, I do agree. There's all the back end you guys have to do to protect investors. Our next one is, what relation with the existing stock exchanges for you guys to kind of coexist in the space?
Yeah, maybe I'll take that. Well, aside from SGX being a shareholder, I think that there are a lot of things we could be, I mean, just as a use case, we obviously could do a lot more with SGX. And again, we don't compete, right? Because we're in the private capital market space, we cover a very different focus. But it, could be, for example, a pre-IPO company that is going to transition onto SGX, right? Then working with us, we hope to sort of anticipate quite a lot of the issues pre-IPO or into the IPO. So that's one way of working with SGX on the BD side. We could be, for example, taking wholesale bonds, and it could be, brought onto our platform to fractionalize for our accredited investors. That's another way of really enhancing the relationship with SGX. But again, I'm just using SGX as an example. It could be anywhere. I mean, we could be talking about, for example, private exchanges in the US, why shouldn't we able to connect? We provide the Asian investor and the liquidity from here, and they can provide, for example, private companies that could list on our platform, that are pre-IPO, right, or unicorn types who are not ready yet for IPO. So I think there are a number of use cases here. We're obviously sort of testing it with the friendly sort of parties, as it were. But we would love to see more interactions with other exchanges to see how we can connect at the tech level and to see what products we can work together on that does not compete with them, and yet we provide the space that actually adds to their business and it's synergistic to their business.
Thanks. A follow-on, I had a personal question. I know there are a bunch of different private exchanges also popping up all over the world. I was wondering if there'll be chances for like listing across platforms, and how do you guys envision that?
Yeah, I think I think connectivity is a very big word. So I agree with those that are able to connect will form a very powerful network, whether it's private or public. I think that the question right now is how to harmonize the tech levels, because some people are on blockchain or DLT and some are not, and then how do you then harmonize that? I think that will be a question that will need to be resolved before that full connectivity happens. Darius, if you have anything to add on that.
The beauty of running on a fully cloud native and digital platform is that connectivity is something that comes maybe rather naturally than legacy platforms. So as we see more and more exchanges or entities riding on similar sort of tech stacks that pop up in the world in a regulated environment, that connectivity through APIs, through backend integrations, through other channels would be a lot less challenging than if legacy players were to try to integrate today. So we do see a lot of promise. Like Oi Yee said, we'll be very happy to start a conversation around that for whoever is interested, and they're mutually beneficial to both our businesses.
Got it. Thanks. One last question. What asset classes do you think are most attractive right now?
Oi Yee?
Yeah, we get asked that a lot. It's quite an interesting question. And, I sort of say a little bit back, it depends, right? We see we're not so much dealing with fund managers, right? Fund managers have a different thematic. Different accredited investors have, different investments already, and they're trying to match it with their own sort of lifestyle and the cash flow. I would see a few very interesting thematics away from individual needs, but more around, what are the products that I think, or the subsectors that are quite interesting. For example, we're working with a feeder fund of a global macro hedge fund, which I think is super interesting because, they obviously everybody's been impacted the last few months. But isn't this the time to think about investing in sort of a higher risk, but potentially higher return product like that? The second thing I would mention is within the real estate space, since Singapore's full of real estate funds and all that, the two subsectors that I find super interesting because of the thematic of COVID are going to be logistics, especially in e-commerce, as well as data centers, just because we're all using data at the moment and there's not enough data centers to go around. So that's kind of the few interesting things we kind of have in our head for the moment. But there's a lot more we could share, and we don't have the time, but please reach out. We can have a very long conversation around those.
Thank you, Darius. Thank you, Oi Yee. Really appreciate your time today. And it was a great talk.
Thank
Very
you.
happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.